A reported progress after a day of intense discussions in Switzerland on how the US and Iran can find a path forward for peace. Mediators Pakistan and Qatar are reporting agreement on a roadmap for a final deal within 60 days. After provisional MOU took effect last week, senior officials from Pakistan and Iran reportedly leaving Switzerland, with technical teams taking over for the rest of the week. Both sides agreeing to the creation of a high-level committee for political oversight, as well as a mechanism to ensure a truce holds between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. A communications line also expected between Washington and Tehran to guarantee safe passage for commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign minister says sanctions on Iranian oil were waived and some frozen assets released. But on its nuclear program, a spokesman says there were just brief discussions with substantive talks yet to start. More, we're joined by Nick Harper. He reports live for CNA from Washington, D.C. Nick, the setting up of mechanisms to manage expected hiccups and, I suppose, pushing back the substantive issue of Iran's nuclear program for later discussions, a reflection of what both sides expect to be big obstacles in the days ahead.
That's right, there are certainly obstacles ahead, but at this stage the United States is signalling that things are underway and that things are going well. One of the lead negotiators, J.D. Vance, has been speaking about this in Switzerland. He has called the start of these discussions and what has been agreed to as a major milestone, saying that they have made a lot of progress and that they have laid a very good foundation. Part of that foundation is setting up a high-level committee and looking at those coordination of mechanisms. A number of different things already agreed to, including getting the Strait of Hormuz reopened and removing the mines from the water, but also overseeing the ceasefire in Lebanon. But Lebanon, of course, is going to be one of the major obstacles during the next 60 days, ensuring that that ceasefire holds. Because if it doesn't, there is a very good chance that Iran may decide to walk away if it continues to see bombardment being carried out by the Israelis striking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. But another obstacle crept in over the weekend, and that was the US President Donald Trump's repeated threats. We know that that particularly angered Iran. They said any form of threat is considered a serious violation of the agreement. And over the weekend, President Trump warned that the United States would hit Iran very hard again, only harder than they did last week. J.D. Vance pushed back on that Iranian discomfort over the social media post made by the president, saying you can't expect Donald Trump not to respond and correct the record. But if there are continued threats, again, that is something that could potentially derail these talks.
Given that we now have another 60 days, where are we on getting any progress or breakthrough on that very difficult nuclear issue?
Yeah, already some progress being made so far. J.D. Vance signalling that the Iranians have already agreed to allow inspectors into the country to look at the nuclear facilities program to work out next steps in terms of what happens to that enriched uranium. He said that this is the first step to permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And he said that in terms of the timeline, when the inspectors might be allowed in, he said conversations on the timeline would happen possibly this week, maybe even as soon as today. We already know that the Iranians have agreed to never have a nuclear weapon, but really it's all now about working out those much thornier issues, the inspectors, the enriched uranium, the dismantling of the facilities. All of that still needs to be taking place in those conversations over the coming days.
Oh, thanks. Nick Harper there reporting for CNA from Washington, D.C. Of course, crucial to these talks moving ahead, mediators Qatar as well as Pakistan. Let's look at Pakistan's role as mediator in those talks. Hira Mustafa reports for CNA live from Islamabad. Hira, we're seeing reports that Iran's president is set to visit Pakistan on Tuesday.
Well, very little information has been shared officially. There's no formal announcement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as we speak now. But according to the diplomatic sources here in the capital, we are hearing that Iranian president is likely to make a trip to Pakistan. And this trip of Iranian president to Pakistan does not come as a surprise, because last week, after the signing of Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, we saw Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif addressing a National Assembly session in which he categorically mentioned that the Pakistani government has extended an invite to the Iranian president to make a trip to Pakistan, and how deeply Pakistan values the Iranian leadership trust in Pakistan with regards to the ongoing peace process, and how Pakistan is trying to mediate and ease the tensions between the warring parties. Experts say the visit of Iranian president coming to Pakistan right after the Lucerne summit over the weekend is highly significant, because it tells that how deeply Islamabad is involved in the ongoing peace negotiations.
All right, Hira, I understand you've spoken with a former top diplomat in Pakistan. What did she have to say about the different factors that Pakistan considers when mediating on an issue like the US-Iran war?
Well, absolutely. Pakistan's role has been central to the mediation efforts since the war on Iran started in February. Islamabad has been a key mediator in shuttling the messages between the warring parties. The former diplomats who we have been speaking to in the capital, including the former Foreign Minister Hira Mustafa, that I had a conversation with her today, hailed the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding and told us the peace process between the warring parties is highly significant, because we are seeing commitment from both the warring parties in order to resolve the outstanding issues. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
The Memorandum of Understanding is an incremental document, not the end document. So it's not the end state document, it's an incremental document. And what do I mean when I say that? What it means is that you're looking at the possibility of normalizing by trust building amongst two nations who've had absolutely no trust, and who have had every reason in the world, because of each other's behaviors, to have deep mistrust. It is very clear if you read both the joint statement which has been issued by Pakistan and Qatar jointly as mediators and negotiators, and by Iranchi's statement. It is very clear that everybody believes that the major threat will be the Lebanon issue. Okay, and everybody, we don't even need to mince words anymore. It is very clear as to who the spoiler is in Lebanon, right? So it seems like Israel's interest in the successful, not only in conclusion, but the carrying forward of the commitment made by the President of the United States of America seems to be not there. Now that's, as I said, that becomes almost like a bilateral issue between Israel and the United States of America. If you see the statements which have come from no less than the Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance, on what he thinks of Israel's behavior, I think everything becomes very clear.
And as you heard the former Foreign Minister Hira Mustafa praising the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, she also mentioned that extension of a ceasefire to Lebanon is crucial, and Israel could be a spoiler in derailing the ongoing peace process. So Pakistan will deeply engage not only at the political level but also at the technical level, where the issues like Iran's nuclear program are going to be discussed in the coming days.
And thanks to Hira Mustafa reporting for CNA Live from Islamabad, because Pakistan, like Qatar, a crucial mediator in these talks between the US and Iran.